Sorry. Hi, Mr. Torres, will you please sit up in that chair and uncross your arms? Thank you. We appreciate that.
My name is Professor Williams. Today is Tuesday, January 28th, 2025, and this is the hearing of the Connecticut Board of Parties and Parole. Following board members are present this morning, and by stating their names on the record, certify they reviewed all statutory required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning. I'm panel member Barry.
Good morning, panel member Rodriguez.
And I'm Ellen Zappo-Sasser.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Joshue Torres, 387165.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration for a parole application for Torres, 387165. He is serving a sentence of 8 years execution suspended after 3 years for 5 years of probation for assault first degree. As of today, records reflect a eligibility date of January 8th, 2025. There is victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and showed the offender has completed the following programs. Voices. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system scores, the offender's overall score for recidivism falls in the very high range. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I believe I should be granted parole, honestly, because the crime that I committed wasn't a crime that was basically sold on me. It states in the police report that I wasn't on my medications, on my OCD medication. I have a history of not taking them because the defendant, the person that I assaulted was my mother, and I was there to help her out, and I wasn't in the wrong in no way. There wasn't no response from the defendant. There was no response from.
I'm not. So, Mr. Torres, I'm not sure who you're referring to as the defendant, because we are speaking to you about your suitability for discretionary parole. So that person would be a victim, not a defendant, if that's what you're referring to.
Well, I don't know the court system.
We're not a court.
Okay.
We're the parole board. So continue with your statement. He's just not the defendant. You're speaking of your brother. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm speaking of both my brother and my mother.
Okay. So they're not defendants. You're in prison for this offense. So you are the defendant, technically. But go ahead. I apologize.
Well, I mean, I really don't have much to say other than I should be granted parole because once again, I'm here. I'm giving my time. You know, I've done the best that I can in life. This is all I have to offer. I don't have not much to say. I really don't.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Torres, what will happen here is each of us will take an opportunity to ask you some questions. When we're done with those questions, there is input from their victims. And when they're done with their statement, we will then deliberate and then give you our decision. Okay?
Yep.
And so I am going to start with the questions. So let's start off with the facts. And the facts are that you committed this crime and it was a very serious crime. It involved a knife. You had a pocket knife on you. Is that right?
Yes.
And why did you have a pocket knife?
For defending myself purposes.
Okay. So you anticipated you're getting into a physical altercation with anyone. It wasn't like you had the knife for work purposes or any of that. It was strictly to, okay. So tell us what happened on this day in June.
Well, I was granted to sleep over my mother's house. My brother didn't want me to stay upstairs. He sent me to stay in his truck. As I stood in his trunk, it rolled over my mind, you know, everything that, because he's my little brother, what he wanted me to do. And I got my OCD triggered. I got very angry. I got aggressive. I went upstairs. I went to kick the door down. She opened the door and the altercation happened.
What's the altercation? What did you do?
I assaulted my mother and I went to slice my brother and he deflected it. I assaulted her. He then held me back and the cops called on me after I took off running.
Okay. So, you said that you were, your OCD was triggered and that you, went in and kicked the door down. You were going to kick the door down, but your mother answered. So all this aggression that you were feeling, it wasn't towards your mother, it was towards your brother?
Yes,
Okay. So why did you assault your mother?
because she's in the middle of the situation, and I knew she was going to jump in the middle of the situation. The
She didn't. You said she opened the door.
She opened the door. I understand that you're trying to, like, I'm explaining to you right now. She opened the door, and when she did open the door, she went to fend her, and she got in the middle. There was no reason for her to have gotten in the middle between us, regardless of what's the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I understand she was just being a person about it, you know, but she didn't know what was going on, and she's always fending for him. So things happen. One thing.
But because she tried to stop you from going at your brother, you beat her up?
No, I assaulted her. I hit her 4 times. I didn't beat her up. I assaulted her, meaning I backed her up off me.
Okay. So Mr. Torres, so Mr. Torres, you alluded to in your opening statement that the police report was not accurate. I can see you're saying that your brother really was the person who initiated all of this stuff, but you had every intention of going to the house to harm him with the knife in pocket. The police report says that when your mother opened the door, you asked her if you could use the bathroom or something along those lines, and you punched her in the face.
Then that came from me on the police report?
Yes, that was on the police report, that you asked your mom to use the bathroom. And when she let you in to use the bathroom, you punched her in the face after.
I don't recall giving them that in the police report.
Okay. So when your mother, you were on top of your mom again, and she was screaming for your brother to come help her, right?
We were both standing.
Okay. So then when your brother came in the room, what happened?
Me and him got into the altercation, into a physical altercation.
And so at what point did you take the knife out to stab him?
And in the midst of it, in the middle of it,
Okay.
when we were apprehended with one another. All
right. And do you have any remorse, Mr. Torres, for your actions?
Yes, of course. I've been here in the jails, in the prison, seeking medical attention to the maximum degree, and it's been real hard for me. It's just been a complete invalidation of what I did. What I did was a complete invalidation because I was in pretenses that I was fine. I was just walking into the medical system, not knowing what was my situation. You know, now that I'm in prison, I once again went through the medical procedure, and it's shown that it's really that I have problems.
So just to be clear, Mr. Torres, so we read that you have several issues going on, and we want to respect your privacy. And so any of the information that you share in connection to any of your diagnoses or anything that has really played a role in these behaviors is being live streamed. And so everyone is going to hear what you have to say. So we would like to speak as not specifically about what your experience has been, okay? I mean, in terms of your mental health diagnoses, okay?
Mm.
Okay. All right. So let's move forward. When you, so now you're here in the prison and you receive how many disciplinary infractions?
4 from what I recall.
Okay. And what were they for?
2 was for, one was for an assault, a fight. 1 was for a not attending voices. I believe I was And 2 of them was for contraband, selling porn.
You were selling porno. You weren't drinking it?
No, I was selling it.
Okay. And so why did the assault occur?
So me and the inmate weren't getting along at all. It was a spontaneous.
Okay. And what did you do?
I assaulted I struck first, that's why. So we got into a fight.
Okay. And so you do realize that if you were out in the community and you didn't get along with someone and you struck them, that you would be receiving another conviction? You would be arrested again and brought back to prison? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us how you resolve conflict going forward, sir. Because you can't go around punching people and stabbing people. How do you resolve conflict when you're out in the community?
Well, I have my coping skills, but it's simply stay away from negativity and people that's not good for you. If I would have done that from the beginning, I wouldn't be here.
So what was that person in prison that wasn't good for you?
It was just another individual that wasn't anything that could mix with me. Anybody that I should have been around.
But why? What was he like? I'm not understanding why you go from one extreme to the next. Yes.
You just told me not to speak exclusive about, you know.
Right. I did. But you're saying to me that this person just got on your nerves and you just assaulted him. You hit first.
I
so you didn't. Go ahead.
I explained it as clear as I could explain it.
Okay. All right. So let's move forward now. So you were selling the pruno. Why were you selling pruno? Were you not working in the prison?
No, I'm working now.
Where are you working?
Yeah, I'm working now. I'm working in the kitchen.
Okay. And so I thought that's what I read, that he was putting his hands in the pots or something like that. Is that right? This person was putting his hand in the pots and that's what irritated you?
I
thought that's what I read in the ticket.
For the ticket?
Yeah, for the assault.
No, the assault was just a spontaneous one. It just happened between me and him not liking each other.
Okay. And so currently the regimen that you're on, is that working for you or no?
It was working for me, but I've been seeking further more attention.
Okay. All right. And so you do realize that we are talking about 4 months of discretionary parole before you start your 5 years of probation. You understand that?
Yeah.
And do you think you deserve parole based on what we've discussed here today?
From what I understood, when I went to court, they said I wasn't eligible. Then out of nowhere, I copped out. They said 3 years probation. Now I'm hearing this. So I'm really I don't know how to capitalize on the situation. I'm caught by surprise.
So wait, you didn't know that you were going to be eligible for discretionary parole? Is that what you're saying?
They had told me in jail about parole. I figured, it was at 85%. My parole date was really on the 8th of January. I'm here on the 28th. Well, I guess they gave me a new date. I found out the other day, and I'm here. So I'm really.
My question to you, Mr. Torres, I understand that your date has passed. That doesn't stop you from being eligible, and so we're having this discussion here today to determine your suitability. And based on our exchange, do you believe that you are a suitable person? Do you think that you deserve early release?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Ms. Sapo?
Can we talk a little bit about your release plan? In one of the reports that we read, it says that you're going to need assistance with housing and you're looking to go back to Waterbury. You don't have a current job set up yet, as noted. And unfortunately, your support system, which used to be your family, is now not available to you. So tell me about what it looks like if you were to be granted release. Where do you think you're going?
Well, I had things going for me before when all this happened. I was on SSI. I didn't go for the housing and stuff like that. This is completely new to me. It's a new experience. then I was taking it as a negative, now it's a positive one. So I'm really just seeking to go in the same road, max out on my healthcare attention and, just stay off the streets.
So when we've read some of the reports that were made available to us, and I'm going to speak in general terms, there is 10 or 11 plus years where you've been in and out of programs and have either unsuccessfully discharged or have not done them, whether it was St. Mary's or Wellmore or Wheeler, Catholic Charities. In one case, you said that program was not for you. But I feel strongly, Mr. Torres, that if you are going to be successful, you're going to need a program in the community to help you be successful. Are you willing to do programs if you are released?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you think going back to Waterbury is a good idea? Do you have ideas about treatments and or jobs? Is that why you want to go back to Waterbury specifically?
Treatment, as far as the job, I don't know how it works, but yes, if possible.
Have you been doing any of the programs available to you in the prison for mental health or stress management, those types of programs?
I've done voices, and I've been trying to get to the doctor to see, what's the whereabouts of if there was any walk-in programs and stuff like that. But we've been pretty adamant about the attention. I mean, the information that I have to give, to be in the right road in healthcare is a pretty scary attention for me to go through, because I never believed that I'd be in it, and I was pretty much against it, 100% about, being all healthy and stuff like that, and then come to find out that I'm not. So I have like a panic to it, it's real hard for them to get to me, and it's hard for me to get to them, but we're working on it.
Well, that's good to hear, because I think that that's going to be a big part of moving forward for you. My last question is about when you were with the Job Corps in Hartford. It seems like you were there for almost a year and you did very well within that program. What was it about that program that worked for you?
Everything about it worked for me. I went in there with very less expectations of the place, and I came out with a very positive outlook. So I wanted to stick with it. Even when I graduated, I tried to go back, and it was a bad fall, because they said it wasn't such a positive thing to do, but it was a great experience for me. Changed my life for the better.
Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Apple. Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to confirm, Mr. Torres, you're taking your medication now?
But then they actually just cut me off. I've been expecting to go to the streets and stuff like that, but I just got on different set of personal medications, and we're having a miscommunication, but I'm trying to get back on it. Trying to get back on my meds. Like, they just cut me off 2 days ago, and I just seen the doctor to keep put on some medical medication, not mental health. And I was on mental health, so I was trying to ask some questions to see if one medication could bump into the other and stuff like that. And we kind of.
I just want to know if you're honest. You're not taking it right now. That's all. That's all I want to know. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. So, Mr. Torres, we ask that you please sit quietly now. Your portion of the hearing is over. Please don't interrupt. We're going to turn the hearing over to our victim's advocate, Mrs. Hamlet Williams. Good morning once more.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have one of the victims who would like to address the board today, and he will be joining us via speakerphone. One moment.
Thank you.
I got to read mine.
Thank you so much for your patience. You may begin with your statement.
Okay, so I have the thing I'm reading, so I'm just going to read it as is. So this is a message addressing the parole board regarding my brother Joshua Torres. My name is Samuel Torres. I'm the victim who Joshua stabbed after attacking my mother for no reason in the middle of the night. My brother has mental health issues where regardless of where he is, or where he has been, created issues for his social life. Give me one moment. Joshua has issues remaining on his medications, and when he isn't on his medication, he spirals out of control. He's a risk to the general public, any halfway house staff members, and himself when he isn't on his medications. Even when he is, Joshua suffers from delusions, often claiming that I've said things or think things that have never left my mouth. It is my belief, regardless of any law, court orders, or being told what to do by any parole or probation officer, Joshua will fall back to his habits that got him here to begin with. He will not take his medications regardless of my he will not take his medications, and regardless of my or my mother's permanent restraining orders, he will not listen to any demands that he is given. This is where he will become a risk to society and somebody or to himself, and is going to get hurt as a result of being let out back to the public, whether full-time or not. This is why I'm requesting that Joshua is denied parole and made to finish his sentence in jail. Joshua, the night of the attack, didn't care that he was beating his mother to the extent where she yelled bloody murder, screaming for me to help her. When I defended my mother, Joshua didn't care that he was fighting his youngest brother. Nothing stabbed him from taking out a knife and stabbing me 3 times, every strike aiming for the heart. Luckily, I was able to deflect the majority of these blows due to my military training, but one of those 3 blows hit me directly over the heart. The fact that this wasn't an attempted murder charge makes me disappointed with the state of Connecticut's supposed quote-unquote justice system. One moment. I have plans to move to Thailand this coming year, but holding me back is the fact that my brother is being released from jail, and I'm concerned for my mother's life. Neither me nor my mother should have to barricade ourselves in this apartment that we are in, but that is our reality. Currently, in preparations to his release, we have put hinge locks on the door as a precaution to prevent Joshua from breaking down the door. We also put alarms that ring so we can hear anytime anybody enters or leaves the apartment. I'm getting ready to get a Ring doorbell in the home camera system to record any activities inside and out of my mother's apartment. We are also getting ready to get our concealed weapons permit, home defense weapons, and pistols should Joshua try to break in the apartment again, so we can follow every law and legally kill Joshua should it come down to it. You might not be convinced that Joshua won't break every rule and condition you give him, but as his family, we know that this is exactly what he will do, and it won't be long after his release from jail. So much so we're preparing to kill him should we have to, and I think the parole board needs to seriously consider that they're creating a much worse issue by releasing him. We already have a lifetime restraining order on Joshua. We barricaded the doors. We're setting up cameras. We're also getting concealed weapons permit, and we are aware of Connecticut's Castle Doctrine, which allows the reasonable use of force to prevent criminal trespassing on one's property, with clauses for the use of deadly force if it's...
Mr. Torres, I apologize for interrupting, but I really, while I respect your statement, sir, we are not going to promote any kind of additional violence. And I understand the point that you're trying to make.
Violent crime. Look, listen, it's not additional violence. I'm simply stating what the laws are and what my rights are. I have a Second Amendment right.
I understand.
I also have a First Amendment right, which is freedom of speech. And I understand that you may not like it, but this is my right to make my statement and state the laws in the preventative measures that we're trying to take to protect ourselves. And I do think that the parole board needs to be open and willing to hear this, and you shouldn't try to suppress or oppress my speech.
I'm not trying to suppress your speech, sir. You have every right to do that, but I am here for, my job here is public safety, and we're not going to promote further violence, period. So,
Okay, you're not, this isn't, as I said, my statement is about to approach where it's like, I'm not trying to go out and look for him, but what I am stating is
can
that
we,
he's going to be released.
Miss Williams, Mrs. Williams, can you
Yes.
please,
Yes.
I'm going to, can you just mute him for 1 second, please? I am going to take a brief recess.
Okay, and I just
Thank
want
you.
to put on the record that the Office of Victim Services, when given instruction in terms of victim impact statements, the statements should address how the crime has impacted you physically, emotionally, financially, if any, and stating your position, whether you are for or against any early release.
Thank you. That was my position as well. So I'm okay. I'm going to take a brief recess, please.
Thank you. One moment. Sir, please hold.
Good morning. Okay, we are back on the record with Mr. Torres, 387165. And Mr. Torres, the victim, Mr. Torres, we've conferred with our legal advisor here, and we have heard your concerns over your worry or your fear of your mother being harmed further, and we appreciate that. Is there anything further that you would like to share with us that you have not already shared? Ms. Williams, the microphone is muted. Hi.
Thank you. You may
Yes.
continue.
Okay, so, yeah, the impact has pretty much been, that not only that fear, but PTSD and anxiety, right? So much so we're making these preparations. I don't think Joshua should be released, but if for whatever reason the parole board decides to do so, he especially shouldn't be released out into Waterbury of all places. He should have to be several cities over, away from Waterbury, far enough where should anything happen, he would have to get on a bus or a train or find transportation to Waterbury to make it to our home where his intent will be undeniable. And where, his parole officer or probation officer, is aware that we have him on camera at this house and he's not where he's supposed to be. Really, that's all I have to say. I'm not happy at the fact that, my freedom of speech was just, violated, but it is what it is.
So Mr. Torres, appreciate that statement, sir. We will definitely take what you shared with us into consideration during our consideration for his discretionary parole. So thank you, sir. At this time, I'm sorry, Ms. Williams. Okay, you have another statement?
I do. And
Okay.
sir, thank you so much for your statement. Please continue to view.
Okay.
All right. The next statement reads, and it's from the second victim in the case. I am writing this letter regarding my son, Joshua Torres, and the events that occurred on January 21st, 2022 at 4 a.m. This has been one of the most painful experiences of my life, but I feel it is necessary to share the truth about what happened. Joshua grew up as a quiet, respectful child who kept to himself. He was never a troublemaker and treated me with kindness and respect. As he grew older, we maintained a good relationship, though it could sometimes be hard to get him to open up. I never imagined that someone who had been so calm and respectful could ever do what he did that night. On January 21st, 2022, Joshua was staying in his brother's truck for the night. At around 4 a.m., he came upstairs to use the bathroom. He was knocking loudly, clearly in a rush. As his parent, I let him in without hesitation. After opening the door, I turned my back briefly, only to see him closing the back door. Then, without any warning, Joshua attacked me. He came at me with an uncontrollable rage, hitting me over and over again on my head and arms. His assault was unprovoked and relentless, and I was in fear for my life. Desperate for help, I screamed for his brother Samuel, who came to my rescue and managed to pull Joshua off of me. As I turned to call the police, I saw something that horrified me even more. Samuel was holding his stomach in pain. Joshua had stabbed him. It was in that moment that I realized just how far his rage had gone. I am certain that if Samuel had not been there that night, I would not be alive today. Despite everything, I want to say that I forgive Joshua. He will always be my son, but he has deeply dishonored me and shattered our family. I pray that God forgives him just as I have. However, I can no longer have him in my life. Joshua's actions have taken away the possibility of us ever having a relationship again. He will never again hear my advice or share in my life. I hope Joshua seeks the help he needs and is able to move forward in life, but I must ask that he never contact me or any member of our family again. This has been one of the hardest things I have ever experienced, but I trust in God's will and justice. Thank you for taking the time to hear my account of what happened. Sincerely, victim. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. So at this time, Mr. Torres, we're going to deliberate about your case and give you our decision, okay? Hey, please, you can listen, don't interrupt. So Mr. Torres has completed the Voices program. It's obvious that he has a number of other issues going on that needed to be addressed. Sounds like from our discussion, he has been trying to address many of his needs. It just hasn't gotten to a level that he feels comfortable with the regimen, and they're still working on that. It's my understanding also that he struggles with alcoholism, and that hasn't been addressed at all. He said he was selling Pruno when he was in the prison, and he received another ticket for assault on an inmate, and that he initiated, and he admits that he did. He does have 5 years of probation to follow his sentence. He rates out very high in terms of risk to recidivate, and given the continued issues that we've addressed here today and the impact and injury to the victims, I would not be in support of discretionary parole. Ms. Staple.
I would like to see Mr. Torres use the next 5 months to create with his parole officer and any institutional staff within the unit to create a plan that is going to work for him in terms of additional programming within, but also what the plan looks like as he leaves the facility in June.
I would absolutely concur with my colleague. I think that Mr. Joshua really benefit from setting up a stronger release plan for himself, since clearly he has no real family support on the outside. Will find himself alone, struggling with that. I'm not in favor of his discretionary parole today, but again, I do believe that maybe some additional programming, some really close reentry, discharge, and kind of planning for him, that would be very critical for him.
I don't know if that's going to happen because, he's already been approved. But so with regard to Joshua Torres, 387-165, I move to deny discretionary parole based on the injury and impact to the victims and the victim's family. I also have his criminal history and the nature and circumstance of the offense. We could honestly go down the list because he had the disciplinary infractions and all that stuff and inadequate evidence of offender change, but I think the motion will just be for
those three.
injury and impact, criminal history, and nature and circumstance. So you'll support? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, Mr. Torres, you'll receive all of this in writing, sir. We did not grant your discretionary parole. And we do hope that you are successful on your 5 years of probation. Good luck to you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you.
This includes the hearing for Torres.
What was that?
No, he was just concluding the hearing. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.